Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 381. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today we got Kevin Rakestraw. Hey, Kevin.
Hi.
This year's Fantastic Fest has officially kicked off its virtual edition. It's called Celebration of Fantastic Fest. So they're separating it a little bit from the proper festival. But we'll be going over this year's festival and reviewing the Stylist, which just had its world premiere there, I think last night. We're recording this on Sunday. Pretty sure it premiered yesterday. We're going to also talk about someone watching on the watch list, along with some of the other Fantastic Fest stuff that I checked out so far. And we're going to go over this week's releases on VOD and Blu-ray as well. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please remember to review us on iTunes if you get a moment. That would be super helpful. Just one bit of housekeeping to go over. New episode of Saved by the 90s dropped last week. We talk about offbeat comedies released in September of 1998. So we talk about Pecker, Permanent Midnight, Clay Pigeons, and Slums of Beverly Hills. Yeah, so that was a fun one. Slums of Beverly Hills holds up tremendously well. The other ones, not as much, but there was still some fun to be had and a good discussion there. With that, let's get into our Fantastic Fest stuff. So the festival just started on Thursday, September 24th. So there's not a whole lot that we can talk about just yet because we're only a couple days in. This year's Fantastic Fest is going to be running from September 24th to October 1st. And the cool thing is you can watch everything online. So everything is like streaming. And most of, at least from what I can tell, most of the screenings are free. So you just have to RSVP for them. And they do like live, it's like a live screening type thing. So there's an actual like schedule. And it goes through this service called Scener, which allows you to sort of live watch movies with groups of people, and it's sort of like Twitch, I guess. The way that it's set up, there's like a little chat room. But what they do is when the movie starts, they sort of tell you to put it in full screen and not watch the chat anymore. Unless it's one of the kind of special events that they do. Like they did this one on Thursday that was really great. It was the part of the 100 Best Kills series that they do at Fantastic Fest. And it was all decapitations. So it was like this, it's like this really awesome, this really great compilation they did where it was just all decapitations in movies. It was super fun. So if you go to fantasticfest.com, you can check out the schedule. You can RSVP for all the events and the movies. It's not, I guess one thing I have to say is because they're sort of separating it from regular Fantastic Fest, it's definitely not like chock full of movies like the actual Fantastic Fest, like, or even some of the virtual editions of like Fantasia Fest. Like Fantasia Fest was basically the same as it always is, but just virtual. So it's definitely more of like a shortened, more truncated version of the festival. But they're definitely doing what they can. I really appreciate that they're still doing these like sort of events, like they're doing the Fantastic Feud, the trivia program, and all of trying to fit in all of the really fun things that Fantastic Fest does into a virtual environment. So I think that's really cool. And you still feel that kind of sense of community that you do when you're at, physical festival.
Yeah.
With that being said, I think we can jump into The Stylist. This is written and directed by Gevargizian. I have a synopsis here. A lonely hairstylist becomes obsessed with the lives of her clients and descends into murderous madness. This is the feature, I believe this is the feature debut from Gevargizian. I do see a movie here called Dark Web. I think that's an anthology. Yeah, that is an anthology. Now, this is adapted from a short film that she also made with the same name and the same actors, same star at least. Najara Townsend stars. I did not see the short film, so I can't compare it to that.
Yeah.
According to the Q&A that she did after the screening last night, she said that the movie was sort of always meant to be a feature, but when she was developing it, because she was a new director, she was not 100% comfortable making it into a feature right away. She wasn't that confident, so that's why she started out with it as just a short film. But Kevin, we'll start with you. What were your initial impressions of The Stylist?
It's pretty sick. It's far sicker than what I was thinking or what I was expecting. And I fully appreciate the effects work. And I think that was the thing that got me the most is like when the gore happens, I thought it was a very bold move to like the camera's just fixed on it, really. Like it just happens in real time with the camera, like not, you know what I mean? Like they don't take any shortcuts. They make it happen.
No cutaways.
And it's really it's really disgusting. Just like extremely disgusting. Which was pretty shocking.
And it happens
for me.
Yeah, the first bit of gore happens in the opening scene of the movie. Like it happens right off the bat. So you're just like, and, you know, it sets it up for you what you're in for here.
There's no like, this isn't like a slow burn build up. I mean, it kind of is, but like in terms of what the stylist Claire does, like, you know what she's all about within like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean that's actually one thing that I found to be a little bit refreshing with this movie is that we start off with her already feeding her homicidal needs. You know, like usually with a lot of these movies, there's like a build up to that point, like where you know she's a little bit off, and she's battling, she's grappling with something in her head, in her mind. And we know that she's going to
surrender.
We know that she's going to give into it at some point, but we don't know when. But this movie, opening scene, we're like, okay, all right, she's already there. Like she's already hit her breaking point.
And it's not only that she's already hit her breaking point. Like when the way that in which the first one plays out, like you kind of feel like she's a veteran at this.
Oh yeah,
this has to be like number 8, number 9.
Well, yeah, I mean,
she's deep in her career.
I mean, when they like after that, when they show her like little basement, that like little setup she has in her basement, and you see the other quote unquote wigs, then you like, okay, yeah, she's been doing this for a little bit. She's been at it. She's been at it for a while. She's honed the technique.
So and I mean, so that right off the bat, you know what she's all about, and it's just a matter of it happening again. And I gotta say, because it's kind of difficult to talk about because you don't want to ruin it, because there is like a large gap in between, you know, the first and the last. There's one in the middle, but obviously it's a build up to the one at the end. And I gotta say that went somewhere that I was not thinking. I was like, no, they're not gonna do that. So that I found that shocking as well, because that's a deeply fucked up scene. The way that this movie ends is really fucked up. Kudos to Jill on that, because fucking hell.
Another thing I learned from the Q&A last night was that when she was developing the story, she started with that end scene. Like that was like the building block. So the finale is where that was like the initial idea, and then she built the rest of the story around that big climax, which is it's definitely fucked up. It's definitely a shocker. Like I didn't know where it was going at that point, and I was like, I mean, obviously there was going to be a big crescendo happening,
and it feels like that's the inevitable conclusion. once it starts to kind of play out, once she gets that setting. But there was this overwhelming part of me that was like, no, that's too dark. I think we're not going to do that. And sure enough, they give you a little teasing it out, and it's like, I think they're going to go for it. Bravo.
One thing that I also liked about this movie, so aesthetically, tonally, it sort of felt like a cross between a Brian De Palma movie and like an Abel Ferrara movie. Like I was getting some Maniac vibes in there, and just kind of the grunginess of that. But then also it had she likes there's like a lot of sort of color work in here and liberal use of split screen that was a little bit hit or miss for me. So I liked the sort of the aesthetic of it as well, and I liked the setting. I liked that it took place in Kansas City. Like, what movies do you see take place in Kansas City?
Yeah,
and I found that to be refreshing. Just the fact that this is not like some gritty, grungy New York movie or an LA movie. This is Kansas freaking City.
Yeah, yep.
I liked that. And interestingly, the writer director, she's in the movie as well, and she works as a hairstylist in real life. To my knowledge, she still works as a hairstylist actually in Kansas City. So,
oh man,
yeah, there you have it. So it's definitely a topic that she's very familiar with.
Hopefully not too familiar.
Well, I mean the hairstyling part. You also have Brea Grant in here, who plays opposite Najara Townsend. And Brea Grant, always great, multi-talented actor.
It seems like she's in like one movie a week.
Yeah, this year she's been really busy.
Tons of movies.
Because she wrote Lucky, which is coming out. That's playing festivals right now, and
yeah, on the 12-hour shift.
And she stars in Lucky as well, and then she wrote and directed 12-hour shift, that's pretty good too. I would recommend checking that out. Yeah, she did write and direct that. That's the one with Angela Bettis that where did I see that? Fantasia, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And then she's in this movie. So yeah, she's had quite a busy year, both in front of and behind the camera. So
yeah,
props to her. Najara Townsend she's a producer on this movie as well. I think she joined the director, who also goes by Jill Six. She started up a production company and brought Najara Townsend on to work in her company. And I remember her from that movie Contracted, which I absolutely hated. And I remember just tearing that movie apart.
Yes, I remember that.
But I always said that she did a good job in it. Like that, I thought that the movie was bad, but she did a good job. And I think that she does a really good job in this movie as well. I don't know. I'm a little conflicted with the character of Claire, because she's clearly a complex character. I feel like maybe I wanted a little bit more out of that character. I don't know if more emotion, more background, just a little bit more detail as to like who this person is and why they ended up like this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it seems like an odd endpoint to just be lonely, just scalping people.
I do like that it was almost as if she had this like extreme jealousy with her clients, and to the point where like she felt like taking their hair, like it somehow like inhabited them, like she somehow like took over their personalities. I find that whole thing to be really fascinating, just how important hair is to people.
Yeah.
I was reminded of that scene in Greener Grass, which I think is like it's just this really small scene, but I think that it says a lot when they're getting their hair cut, and as they're cutting their hair is like bleeding all over the floor. I don't know if you remember that
Yeah.
scene.
Yes, I do remember that.
But to me that like so perfectly represents how we look at hair and how important it is to us as a representation of like ourselves. And I think that this movie sort of reinforces that, like the importance of how your hair looks.
Yeah. It just takes it to a sick demented place.
Yeah, which
Because she does kind of do that like randomizing where she just keeps putting all of them on and like essentially like doing little impersonations of the person,
hmm
which was just really, it was unsettling.
yeah.
There's a lot of to me, this movie is equal parts deeply unsettling, but also very slow and kind of slightly uneventful.
Yeah, I agree. It's a bit plotting, and I feel like so it is an hour and 45 minutes long. I feel like it could have been truncated down a bit. I would like my goal was to try to see the short film before talking about it here on the show, but I didn't get a chance to see it. I don't know if it's like available on Vimeo or anything, but I wanted to see the short film because I feel like maybe this would be a story that works better as a short. Although I believe the short film is only 15 minutes long, so I don't
I
know
have a
if
feeling the short film is probably just like that opening scene
yeah, probably.
where
So
it's just, there's the twist at the end.
yeah. So I feel like maybe a feature. I think that this probably does work better as a feature length film, but there is a lot of downtime here. There's a lot of build up and a lot of like Claire just living her life and just trying to hold on to what little bits of sanity she has. Like you can tell she's trying to keep herself under control, but it's not working for her.
Yeah. Right. And that's because a good chunk of the middle of this movie is just kind of like she becoming obsessed with Brie Grant's character,
hmm
kind of like persona swap type deal,
Yeah, like
where like that, like they're developing friendship or whatever. Well, obviously Claire takes it a little bit too far. She kind of invests a bit too heavily, and it seems like this is like a turning point for her because she's able to like close up the cellar. She's going to be a normal person, but it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out for Claire.
no, no, it definitely doesn't. She just can't do it. She can't not.
She just makes people a bit too uncomfortable because she doesn't have this good social skills, and unfortunately for the other people, it ends up leaving them without a scalp.
Overall I enjoyed it. I think that I'm very interested to see where this director goes next. What she has in store for us next.
Oh, definitely. Because I mean, this is definitely different. It's definitely fucked up, but not in a way that's just like kind of lazy, where it's just how many people can I kill? What's the most fucked up way I can kill people? Like this is like the killings make sense in like the entirety of the story. I
hmm
mean, it's tied in. It's not just gruesome and disgusting for the sake of being gruesome and disgusting.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, that's The Stylist. Definitely keep a lookout for that. I'm sure that this is going to get picked up, like without a doubt.
It's got. I mean,
This
you're
is
talking about like one of the most disgusting endings. It's just the circumstances around it, like the actual violence itself is what you've already seen, but the circumstances have changed, and it makes it deeply fucked up.
yeah, and she was smart to end it where she did too. Like like
Yeah,
where it ends, it's like that's the perfect. That's you don't want to go further than that because that'll dilute it.
yeah.
So you end it where you do, and it that's the perfect exclamation point at the end.
Oh God.
Yeah, I think that this is going to get sold very easily if it hasn't been already. Like this is an easy win for whoever picks it up. All right, let's give it a score. Kevin, what are you gonna give the Stylist?
I give the Stylist like 6.5.
Nice. I'm sitting at around a 6 on this one. Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
worth a look for sure.
Yeah. Yes.
I guess I'll start it off by talking about a couple things that I saw at Fantastic Fest. Also, I started off with my goal is just to watch everything that's there. It's a pretty small list, so I'm looking to watch everything that's screening there. And the first thing that I saw was Teddy. This is directed by Ludovic and Zoran Balkerma. Probably mispronouncing that, and I apologize. This is a French kind of horror comedy. It's a werewolf movie, actually. And it's sort of a pretty standard werewolf movie. It's basically a cross between American Werewolf in London and Carrie. There's some like Carrie elements in there as well, where it's about this young man who gets bit by a werewolf and he's slowly turning into a werewolf. But there's also a little bit of kind of social commentary in there as well, where I couldn't help but feel like this dude is sort of an incel a little bit, a little bit of an incel, where he gets dumped and just like that's sort of the catalyst for him to just completely lose it. And I thought it was fine. I mean, this is a relatively low budget movie, so they can't go nuts with the effects. And so how they sort of make up for that is that they kind of turn it into a body horror movie. And I was messaging you about what was going on in this movie, and I watched the Q&A for this after the screening as well, and they were basically saying that like when they were working on the script, they made a list of the most uncomfortable things that they could come up with, and it just included those in the movie. One of the things is there's a scene when this guy has a long black hair that grows out of his eyeball, and they do a close up of him plucking this hair from his eyeball, and it is so cringe inducing. Maybe the most cringy thing I've seen all year.
That's disgusting.
Because it looks so real too. Like it looks like there's a freaking black hair growing out of this guy's eyeball. There's a scene involving fingernails being pulled off, which is always unpleasant. And there's also a scene when he wakes up and his tongue is hairy, like just hair covered on his tongue. So he decides to shave his tongue.
Oh,
So there's a tongue shaving scene as well.
disgusting.
Yeah, it's it's pretty rough. But overall, I thought that it was okay. I didn't know if I really liked the messaging, because like I appreciate that they were sort of exploring, they were taking this werewolf story and they were putting it into a contemporary setting and using it as a way to, I guess, comment on the sort of increase of mass shootings and things that are happening in the world. And I just don't know if that necessarily worked for me, because the main character played by Anthony Bajon, we're supposed to like him. Like he is sort of a likable character at the beginning. He has this sort of nice like sweetness to him. Like he's taking care of his, I think it's his aunt or his grandma, I can't remember. So you kind of like him, but then like he gets dumped and he kind of turns into a psycho, a douche. And I don't know. I don't know if that really gelled with me, but
Gotcha.
Yeah. So overall, a little kind of straight down the middle on Teddy. I also saw Girl, which is directed by Chad Faust, and this is starring Bella Thorne and Mickey Rourke, and Chad Faust is also in there. This one also did not work for me too much. I so Bella Thorne plays this unnamed character who is going to this small town in order to hunt for her father and kill him. She's trying to kill her dad. And when she gets there, she ends up finding him, and she discovers that he's already dead. Somebody else already killed him. So now she's like, well, what the hell's going on here? So she starts looking for clues and hunting around this town to figure out who killed her father and why. And she discovers that there's like this rumor about him having a whole bunch of money buried on his property, and it turns out that there's this like sleazy dude and this corrupt sheriff played by Mickey Rourke that killed him looking for this money. And once they find out that she's his daughter, they go after her. The thing that really suffers with this movie is the script. It's just this really average script, and it's designed to be this like sort of female empowerment movie, but it never comes off as being that way. Like they were just like, oh, well, the movie's called Girl, and she doesn't have a name because she can represent any woman and all this stuff. And it's just like, do you think that many women are in this? Like, I get that it's sort of she plays someone who's been abused and neglected her whole life, and certainly that has parallels to women everywhere. But this specific situation that she's in is definitely not the norm for women, where her dad gets murdered by a corrupt sheriff, and this corrupt sheriff is hunting her, and there's this bag of money involved. Like none of it works. Like the dialogue's pretty hit or miss too. Chad Faust actually does a good job in it, but everyone else is middling at best. Bella Thorne is not good in this at all. She's an executive producer on this as well. And I just did not. I just couldn't get on board with Girl. At the end of the day, it was just this really average crime thriller. So yeah, I can't really recommend that. And I don't. Possessor also screened at Fantastic Fest. Now this was an in-person screening that was in I can't remember. It was at the Alamo Slaughter Lane location. I think I'm gonna hold off on talking about Possessor until closer to release time.
All right.
But that's all I saw so far. But there's a few more things that are going to be coming out in this week, so I'll probably just follow up with those next week.
Okay, hopefully they're better.
I'm hoping.
Well, I watched something that I know you watched, and that's 1993's Body Melt.
Oh yeah,
from Phil Brophy. It's the Australian. I don't even know what the fuck to categorize this as. Just the mucus test.
Mm-hmm.
That's the genre, mucus test. There's this little cul-de-sac, Pebbles Court, where the people there are unknowingly being tested with this new drug, right? You've already talked about this before on the show. I think it wasn't not too long ago. It might have been last year or so. This movie's disgusting, but also just extremely entertaining. At least I found it that way. This is just out of control. This movie's out of control. And there's tons of mucus. The second phase of your body decomposing from this new drug is glandular, as the scientist finds out in the beginning, where his throat's like ripping in half, and he keeps spraying detergent on it to try and stop it, which is just really fucking disgusting. But this movie, I guess, it gets really stuck on the second phase, the glandular phase. So the first phase is hallucinogenic, which they kind of do a little bit with. There's one guy in Pebbles Court that has some hallucinations that are really disturbing, but more so they seem to really be focused on the glandular, where it's just a lot of like hyper secretion of mucus from all orifices. That's pretty much how everyone succumbs in this movie, and it's really disgusting. I mean, just a hats off to them, people that worked on Body Melt, because it's just really disgusting looking, and it's just phenomenal to me. I had an absolute great time. A lot of people, it seems as though they didn't quite understand what Body Melt was doing. I don't think Body Melt was doing anything outside of being disgusting. I think that was their aim. You know, I think when they sat down to make this movie, they're like, we're gonna make it disgusting, and we're gonna do a great job with this mucus. And guess what? They checked both of those boxes off. So to me, Body Melt is a success, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I remember really enjoying this one too.
It's just this movie's fucking nuts, and it's not that confusing. I mean, to me, it was pretty straightforward. You know, making a drug that has a lot of unforeseen consequences that they just ignore, and they want to get the drug out anyway. That's it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, yeah. I talked about this in August of 2014. So.
Oh, really? 2014?
No, I'm sorry, 2016. So 4 years ago.
I was about to say it can't be that long ago.
Yeah.
Like, damn, 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years ago.
That's a lot longer. Yeah, this is on Amazon Prime, by the way. So if you want to see some 90s goodness, just outright disgusting.
I will.
Shit.
I also will never forget the rollerblading scene in it.
I know.
Like that's just one of the it's almost more notable to me than the actual body melting scenes.
That's the only thing that really seemed odd to me, because everyone has these reactions to the drug, and this kid, he's going to do some rollerblading at night. He sneaks off to do some rollerblading. Apparently, this place just happens to have a huge, massive half pipe to do tricks on.
Yep.
So he fucking goes to town. He's having the time of his life. He crashes, and somehow, like, the crash, like, transformed his body, his face. But it didn't really seem like he died. He had the fucked up face like the other guy had. And then we just never see that kid again. So who knows what he's doing? I mean, I'm sure he melted hours later, but what happened in between that time? You know?
I don't know. Maybe they need to explore it in Body Melt too.
I really, like, the first thing I did was look up that guy's filmography, which has nothing else.
Yeah.
Outside of, like, I think a short film or something. I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. Come on. All these fucking mediocre people that turn out absolute shit get to have, 12 filmographies.
Yep. That's Body Melt. Definitely check that out. I saw Console Wars. This is a documentary about the 90s Sega Nintendo battle that they had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis. Great time to be a kid. So this is actually adapted from the book by Blake Harris. The documentary is co-directed by Blake Harris and Joe Natullis. It does an adequate job of adapting the book. I actually did read the book, and the book is incredibly entertaining and really fascinating. I thought that this story would have worked better as a series, like a documentary series, rather than try to squeeze it into 1 hour and a half long documentary, because they leave out a lot of stuff and they sort of focus mainly on the Sega part of it. Mm-hmm. They jump over to Nintendo a little bit, but certainly not as much as they talk about in the book. And I feel like they just left out some sort of key things, and it was still entertaining. And they do, of course, being a modern documentary, it is there's a lot of animation sprinkled in here, as we've seen a lot lately in documentaries. But the animation is all like 16-bit animation, and it's really well done. Like, it's really good. So props to them for doing that. And they, they interview all the key players, like all the main people, Shinobu Toyota, Howard Phillips, and then what's his name? Tom Kalinske. Like, he's the big guy who they brought in to head up Sega of America, and he's sort of the mastermind behind Sega's not dominance of the 90s, but like certainly brought them into the competitive space against Nintendo. Because if you remember, like, nobody was competing with Nintendo. Nobody could compete with Nintendo. And then when the Genesis came out, or the Mega Drive as it's called in other countries, like it for a while it was beating Nintendo.
Yeah.
And a lot of the marketing tactics and things that they did were just really creative. And I think that, after reading the book and looking at this documentary, like, when we talk about the 90s, being the Tude era, like, everything had so much attitude in the 90s. I think that a lot of it has to do with Sega and their commercials and the marketing tactics that they used, where everything was like edgy and gross and had lots of Tude. And I think that they're the ones that can largely be credited for starting that. I mean, you remember those Sega commercials, right?
No, I do not.
What?
I don't remember anything. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure if I saw them, it would immediately jog it, but I can't bring it up in my head right now.
But you remember that, like, Sega was more it was more edgy. Like, it was more for
Oh
it
yeah,
was more
no,
for like older kids.
I had the Sega.
Like the cool
I
kids.
went the Sega route.
The cool kids had the Sega.
I had the Nintendo, and then as soon as Sega Genesis came out, that's the path I chose.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have Nintendo again until GameCube, and then that was it.
Nice.
That's the only other thing I had since the original Nintendo.
I was a little bit.
You know,
I never chose a side. I was a little
me
bit
either. I just, I mean, it was just one of those things where you had to, because you
Right.
couldn't afford both.
Right.
You couldn't afford both consoles. So
I
you had to
never
choose.
I never owned a Sega Genesis. I never had one. And I didn't get a Super Nintendo until like for a long time after they were out. I just never, I don't know. I wanted them, but I never got them.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Console Wars is on the CBS All Access, so if you have that, it may be worth a look. I would say it's still better to just read the book. I think the book handles the story a lot better than the movie. But and there you go.
All right. All right. I watched Better Watch Out from 2017, directed by Chris Peckover. This is tough. This is a tough one for me because this is on Amazon Prime, and the little synopsis it has here is: in this holiday horror farce, okay, a babysitter must hold the fort and protect a 12-year-old boy during an increasingly bizarre home invasion. Okay, I saw holiday farce, horror, home invasion. Gets bizarre. Okay, this takes place at Christmas. I'm like, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I'm looking for like a horror comedy type deal. And it sounds like this might get a little bit strange. Some twists and turns and home invasion thing going on. So I'm like, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. It's not that at all. It's not a farce. Like, it's not funny at all. This is a deeply fucked up movie. Extremely fucked up. And I think that's the thing that threw me off because I was, I'm kind of hoping for a little bit of a horror comedy thing here. And it's not that at all. Early on, the 12-year-old boy that's being babysat, he just comes off a little creepy. Like he's kind of like an incel kid, you know, where he's like the nice the nice guy, but he's gonna snap if he doesn't get his way, right? So early on, I'm thinking, I hope they don't go that route with it because it seems like it's set up that way, and that, to me, that's not a farce. That's just really fucked up and believable, and it's gonna get awful real quick. And that's exactly what happens. It becomes really deeply fucked up and disgusting, which might have worked if that's what I was expecting going in. You know what I mean? Or that twist reveal wouldn't have been such a huge misdirect
Mm-hmm.
and being
Mm-hmm.
something completely left field of what I was looking for. It might have worked, but this just became it's like a deeply uncomfortable viewing experience, and I just did not like it at all. The performances are fine. Um, like the kid Levi Miller who plays like the main 12-year-old boy being babysat, like he's really fucked up. He's
Yeah, I remember him
disgusting.
being really creepy, and
Yeah, and like he plays that really really well. Uh, but I don't know. It's just really disgusting. It felt like trying to make like funny games, but like lighthearted somehow, and it just didn't work for me at all.
it's better watch out. I don't have anything else.
The only thing else I have is another Stephen King adaptation, also found Amazon Prime. Sometimes they come back from 1991. This also stars Brooke Adams, who was in The Dead Zone. So apparently she got a lot of work in Stephen King adaptations. And I found out because I looked her up, she's married to Tony Shalhoub. I did not know.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so there you go. This is based on a Stephen King short story where a young kid back in the past in his hometown, young kid and his brother. His brother got murdered by these greaser dudes. He got blocked he kind of bullied in this tunnel, and then a train came. Everyone died except for the young brother. So the young brother grows up, Tim Matheson. He returns to the hometown as a teacher, and the problem is the greasers return too as ghosts, and they're killing people. And he's got to right this wrong to get rid of these guys. So it's pretty much what you would expect from a Steve. Great fall look, great small town,
Mm-hmm.
some good ghost stuff. The only problem is I mean, it's entertaining to me. I thoroughly enjoy it. I'm a sucker for Stephen King adaptations. They just work for me for some reason.
Me too.
Uh, the only thing that's a little bit much is the greaser ghost. Like the one has this laugh, like it's like a cackle type thing. And yes, I understand that it's supposed to be like, you know, unnerving and annoying, but he does it all the time. Like every time he's on screen, he does the laugh thing. And it becomes overwhelming at a certain point. It's too much. Like we don't need this guy doing his cackle laugh all the time. But outside of that, it's, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I never saw this.
But
I've had this on my watch list forever, and I just haven't never got around to it.
well, the funny thing is I had no idea going in that this was a Stephen King adaptation. Just I think my wife added it to the watch list. So we were looking for something last night. I'm like, okay, we'll do sometimes they come back. And like as soon as it popped on, it's like based on a short story by Stephen King. I'm like, yes, I like it already.
Hmm.
I don't know if I've ever disliked a Stephen King adaptation.
There's always something to them to enjoy.
Well, it's like even if I dislike it or, you know, somewhat let down, it's like comfort food for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like it might not be good, but it's a comfort watch. Like it makes me feel good.
I completely agree. I completely agree. I feel the same way. which is weird because like it's all always different directors and different
Yeah.
stories, but it's like there's this sort of connective tissue with them.
It always seems to be, autumn or winter in a small town, and you just like that setting. I like that setting.
And because it's a Stephen King adaptation, there's always some kind of interesting hook. There's always
Yeah,
something to latch onto with them.
exactly.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. All right, that's Sometimes They Come Back. All right, let's go over some VOD releases, shall we? On the 29th, we have Chasing the Present. Looks like some kind of documentary. Actually, I don't even know. No, it's not a documentary.
No. What? With that title?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it is, man. I can't tell. It looks like a documentary from the little picture that I'm seeing here. A materially successful young man riddled with anxiety embarks on a worldwide journey of self-inquiry. From the streets of New York to the stillness of the Ganges and deep into the jungles of Peru, he immerses himself in meditation, self-inquiry, as previously mentioned in the last sentence, and plant medicine to find the root cause of the problem and learn how to finally find freedom from his crippling anxiety. Yeesh.
Well, that does not sound interesting at all.
No.
I'm looking at the cast here, and it's got Russell Brand and Marina Abramovich. No.
We also have Inez and Doug and Kira. When a bipolar woman commits suicide, her sister and her sister's fiancé become entangled in an attempt to discover what pushed her to the brink. We have Alien Addiction. Looks like a sci-fi comedy. The tagline is "This is good shit."
Addicted to aliens.
It follows Rico, who lives in a small town in the middle of nowhere. Life was pretty normal until two aliens crash landed near Rico's house.
What?
He welcomes the aliens, and together they develop an intergalactic relationship of epic proportions.
Wow, these aliens are weird looking. They are goofy looking.
One has a crazy afro, and the other one has a crazy bandana.
And they both wear some aviators.
Mm-hmm. Wow, this looks really bad. This looks like it's a New Zealand film.
Yeah. I mean, Letterboxd is saying it's from 2018, so...
On the 30th, we have American Murder, The Family Next Door. That is a Netflix documentary. It's like one of those Netflix true crime docs. It's probably entertaining. People can't get enough of those Netflix true crime docs.
Exactly.
They're enthralling. They're enthralling. They got a winning formula. Those.
Well, yeah. I mean, people are just obsessed with them.
I mean, I watch them.
Well, yeah. You want to know what happens?
Yeah. On October 2nd, we have Death of Me, starring Maggie Q and Luke Hemsworth. Might give that a look. We have The Antenna. This is a virtual theatrical release. In a dystopian Turkey, the government installs new networks throughout the country to monitor information. Also on the 2nd, we have 2067, starring Cody Smith McPhee and Ryan Quanten. The fight for the future has begun.
Ooh.
We have The Rising Hawk, Battle for the Carpathians during the 13th century.
Ooh.
Sakar Berkut and his wife Rada led a group of Highlanders in the Carpathian Mountains. And it looks like they have to fight the Mongols.
That's fucking Mongols.
Damn Mongols.
Get in everyone's business.
Yeah.
They just want to fight all the time, it seems like.
Just conquering everything.
They're trying to, at least.
We have Tokyo Stay Tokyo Homestay Massacre.
Mm.
You're not in Texas anymore. Welcome to Japan is the tagline of this one.
In case you've confused the two regularly.
Three American late teens travel to Japan to escape a sad past and have some fun, but end up trapped in a house with a demented Japanese host family who plans to offer them to their gods in a sick ancient Japanese ritual. This movie seems racist as fuck.
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to find out.
They need to just stop with the whole, like, white Americans just going to have some fun in a foreign country and then getting killed by the, the residents and their crazy ways, their crazy rituals. Like, just end that shit.
Yeah.
Does nobody any good. That's about it for VOD. On Blu-ray this week, we have Ghost Ship from 2002. We got Alphabet City from 1984. I liked this movie quite a bit. New York City drug dealer decides to get out of the business, but he has to flee from mobsters. Gotcha from 1985. Exclamation point on the end of that one. Memorial Valley Massacre from 1989. Killing Birds from 1987. Looks like there's some kind of Evil Dead 1 and 2 4K pack. I think Evil Dead might be the most released home media ever.
It's definitely up there.
Spellcaster from 1988. Looks like there's a 4K version of Steelbook 4K version of Halloween from 1978 coming out. Grave Robbers from 1989. There's a 3-movie collection, Jaws 3-movie collection. And it contains Jaws 2, 3, and 4.
Wait, what?
Yeah, so
just those three?
Yeah, it's just those 3. So Jaws 2, Jaws 3, and Jaws the Revenge.
Okay.
I know I've seen Jaws 2, and I've seen Jaws 3. I don't know if I've seen Jaws 4. I need to, maybe that's what I'll do this Halloween is revisit the Jaws series. Death Rage from 1976. Mad Max Fury Road 4K. Can't imagine that wouldn't already be on 4K, but here we go. Wicked City from 1987. This was a really, really fucked up anime.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I remember being very, very disturbed by that anime when I was younger. The Banker from 1989. Cruel Jaws from 1995. That's the 5th one. Jaws 5. Cruel Jaws.
Man, so you gotta get Jaws 1 separately.
Yeah.
And Jaws 5 separately.
Yeah.
Why? 2 through 4 you can get in a box set. Yeah,
it doesn't make much sense.
I don't like it.
Usually that has to do with some sort of like a rights thing, like who owns the rights to that specific one. Like I remember there was what was it? There was some box set where they were able to get, it was a horror box set. It was one of the slasher franchises, and I can't remember which one, but they were able to get like all of them except for one of them in a box set, and I was always so bummed out about that. It might have been like Nightmare on Elm Street or Child's Play, maybe. They were able to get all of them except for one of them, and it always bothered me. All right. Massacre in Dinosaur Valley from 1985. Never heard of that, but I am definitely into that.
That sounds... Massacre, what? In Dinosaur Valley?
Yeah, Massacre in Dinosaur Valley. That's going to be a Severin Films release. A plane crashes in the Amazon jungle, and its passengers must battle their way through cannibals, slave traders, wild animals, and murderous piranha fish to safety.
How about that?
It doesn't seem like there's any dinosaurs in it, but that's okay.
No, I mean, there's maybe a history of dinosaurs in that valley.
We have sometimes Aunt Martha Does Dreadful Things from 1971. Genesis 2 and Planet Earth are getting some kind of double thing, double pack. Pandemonium from 1982. Trick Baby from 1972. There's a ton of stuff coming out this week. Havana from 1990, starring Robert Redford. Primitives from 1980. Conquest from 1983. The Caller from 1987. Variety from 1983. Crackers from 1984.
Are they re-releasing every movie?
I mean, like the list goes on and on. It's a huge list this week. Maybe I'll truncate it and just quickly look through, just scan through the rest and see if there's anything notable here. No, I think we already covered all the notable ones. A lot of anime and some other like 2-packs and collections and re-releases and stuff. Anyway, what do we have on Criterion this week?
Oh, we got two. One's a box set, and that's the third installment of Martin Scorsese's World Cinema Project. That has 6 films on there. And then the other one is David Lynch's The Elephant Man from 1980. So even Criterion's doing the 80s thing. So there you go. All sorts of movies from the 80s to pick up.
Yeah, there's a lot of 80s stuff. Looks like there's a lot of good. There's more than a few Italian releases coming out. Like Killing Birds, which is Zombie 5, Killing Birds. Vinegar Syndrome is putting that out. A group of students goes into the woods to study birds, and soon the dead begin to rise to devour the living.
It's got a hell of a poster.
I know. Yeah.
Oh my god, that sounds pretty fucking great.
Well, make note of these, because we need to be thinking about what we want to do for our Halloween special.
Well, I think it might just be the Zombie 5, Killing Birds.
Yeah. We can work it in, definitely. I would love to do Italian horror for our...
Maybe that might be what we do.
I would love
80s
it.
Italian horror.
I would love it.
We can bring it to Dinosaur Valley. Get us some Killing Birds.
All right, I think that's going to do it for this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can send us your questions and topics to podcast@filmpulse.net. You can follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet and @filmpulsekevin. And if you have a moment, consider reviewing us on iTunes. That would be very helpful. For Kevin Rickstraw, my name's Adam Patterson. We'll see you next week.